Hi everyone, this is Kenzie. I don't particularly care for Star Trek as a property. Please don't get offended by this harmless opinion, but I find it rather boring on average and I just don't care for it that much. So imagine my shock when Orange River, resident space guy and Orion princess enjoyer, tells me that he is curious as to how I feel about a little animated show called Star Trek Lower Decks. Now, here's a few disclaimers just so any potential Trek fans are curious about my perspective. If you don't care, I got a chapter for you at the end, but this is important. When it comes to Trek lore, story, history, all that good shit, I ain't in that space. Never have been. I watched a little bit of TNG on late night TV when I was a young shitty boy, watched the Star Trek movie as nothing more than a moving set of images, and have been a regular contributor to Orange River helping him film and all that good shit. So I am always at least 50 feet within a Trek reference. With that being said, my ears and eyes glaze over at the sight of a Breen or Ferengi video. That's my truth and I'm sticking to it. Now if you don't know me and you fuck with my vibe so far, then here's an easy cheat code to sweeping me off my feet. First, watch my other videos, they're great. And make me fucking laugh. My favorite adult animated show by far is Archer, before Dreamland. And this is what Lower Decks is up against for me personally. No, I'm not comparing the two, don't worry. I'm just saying that the show is funny and so is Archer, it's not that deep. The funniest joke I've ever told is saying that Gundam Battle Operation 2 was worth playing. And if that's gonna show you anything, it's that I'm one funny motherfucker. Above all else, I like having a good laugh, and Lower Decks was told to me to have that capability, so this isn't a deep dive into what it does well as a Trek show, even though I can tell this show was made with love. If there's something that I don't like, it's not gonna come from them getting a reference about Trek wrong or not respecting the source material or some shit, because that's just not me. I appreciate really good writing and really good storytelling, but that isn't initially why I'm here. Alright cuties, let's boldly go where I ain't gone before. This is a goofy ass Star Trek cartoon video, bitch. If anything I just said is ignored and that ignorance makes it to the comments, then I'll do to you what Ducat did to Jadzia Dax. Was that too soon?
It's my stress, that's for sure.
Before we get into the meat of this, I might as well get the overall opinion out of the way first. The show is immaculate, but season 1 is my favorite season, period. All seasons are great, but great for different reasons. The seasons put less of a focus on how unhinged the visual gags and pacing gets, but in exchange, the pace slows down and focuses more on character building and progressing their individual arcs, which is a good thing. Now, while I say it put less of a focus, that doesn't mean that it isn't there at all. The animation only gets better and more detailed over time, but let's start at the beginning, where the show literally from frame 1 sets up its first joke. This isn't your granddaddy's Star Trek, more like a Star Trek gatekeeper's worst nightmare. Season 1, bitches.
Let's hear that order.
So here's the thing about the beginning of Lower Decks. The pacing is supersonic. This isn't a bad thing by any means, I actually prefer it this way. It brings a certain Subway Surfers on the side of the screen vibe to the function that some people would probably see as a negative, but it keeps me focused because shit just keeps happening. At the start of the first fucking episode, you get introduced to the big players on the USS Cerritos. Then they freeze frame and then you get introduced to the actual stars of the show, Brad Boimler and Beckett Mariner. Mariner is the best character ever animated in a work of fiction, and I do not invite you to change my mind because bitch, I don't care. Does this cardboard cutout look like my mind can be changed? Right. She slices into his leg with some Klingon blade in a drunken fit of euphoria. Side note, but while I was watching this for the first time, I was sending unsolicited snaps about my journey through the show to Orange River. I may add them in if I give enough of a fuck. So I gotta keep it a stack. I kinda like the vibe so far. It's like really good start. I like this guy. He's a cutie patootie. I like my cutie patooties. They also introduce Devana Tendi, who is way into her new position, and they play her up to be almost oblivious to how much of a slacker everyone else is, but she's so plucky and cute, and her archetype is almost always played for laughs, so it's fine. Also, going back to the pacing, they introduce the main quadroon. What the fuck is a group of 4 called? A quartet. They introduced the main quartet in 5 minutes and 7 seconds. That's pretty fucking fast for a comedy troupe. Yes, everyone else has yet to be seen, but as far as the main group that we will spend most of our time with, the girls are all here. All of the archetypes are as follows. Boimler, who keeps getting autocorrected to Boiler on my fucking Google Docs. Stop it, Sundar Prakash! Boimler is basically the way uptight rule follower in an environment where following the rules is almost suboptimal. Seeing his plans and follow through consistently be met with who gives a fucks is humorous. Mariner, being the somewhat always drunk, rule-breaking, canon pansexual hero we all deserve, is the perfect contrast to Boimler, and I love it. She just like me for real, except I don't drink, I just do concerning amounts of ketamine. Tendi is just bright-eyed and cute about it. She's brand new to the ship, and therefore every single thing is exciting to her. Compared to everyone else who has probably been over this shit for a while now, her being under a boss like Dr. T'Ana, who only really cares when she needs to, opens the door for gags between the two. Plus, her being next to Mariner, who is the exact opposite of her at this point in the show, is a really nice juxtaposition, or whatever the word is. Rutherford is an engineer who is exceptionally nerdy, and things just kind of fly over his head when it comes to the ladies. I would say that that's autism coded, but then that would probably piss someone off, so I'll just say that he is an android with some spicy programming. And then there's Beckett Mariner. I know I talked about her in the Boimler section, but oopsie poopsie, I guess I have to talk about her again. She's my favorite character out of the main four, throwing a middle finger at authority and in general just wanting to get the job done by any means necessary. I like that can-do attitude. Plus, my girl is black and I like that. She is usually the one throwing out insane jabs and the show is never boring when she's on screen. I mean, it's usually never boring anyway, but I digress. She's a damn good character. Okay, so yeah, I love the show and I love every character, but okay, I've been doing a lot of glazing, so I'm just gonna go over some other stuff that didn't appeal to me as much. The science-based jokes and the Trek references, as y'all can probably guess, don't hit me the same as they'll hit Trek bros. Like in episode 2 where Jack Ransom says to use the Janeway protocol, and Rutherford asks what that is and he doesn't explain. This is Janeway. I know, but bitch, I don't know what her protocol is. And sometimes the references are so deep, like when they prank call Armis, that I just know from hearing them that some wild shit just flew over my head. It gets even deeper when in later seasons that they flat out tie these characters to events that happened in whole other shows. Like Mariner going to Starfleet Academy with TNG character Sito Jaxa, who was a lower decker on the USS Enterprise. Now that ain't a problem, of course it's not, but I can't really say it's a high or low point for me if I didn't even know to begin with. Every episode is filled to the brim with witty comebacks and quips and jokes and all that other shit, and I promise you I mean it. It's like every other sentence is an opportunity for some kind of humorous thing, and if this were any other show, I probably would think it's trying too hard, but the show feels like it was written on the passenger seat of a Mad Max vehicle, so the script and dialogue keeps up with this pace fine in my opinion. Here's an example of this. Boimler really likes the warp core.
The warp core is the best part of the ship.
Mariner does not like the warp core.
The warp core is just a big glowing tube.
Tendi is just happy to be there. That joke is set up. Mariner warps them to a beach in Hawaii, and they go on a tangent about how Boimler gets a rash from sand and no one else gets a rash. That is the second joke segment in roughly 10 seconds. Then Tendi wants to go to a place on Orion, which isn't a joke, it actually does help to get to know her a bit more, since she never went to the Attashake Center before joining Starfleet. What is an Attashake? I don't know, please don't tell me, I'll do approximately nothing with that information. And then Tendi asks bro where he wanna go, to which he says after a pause, the warp core. That joke follow-up happened like 20 seconds after the last joke segment. This is about par for the course for Lower Decks in season 1 and a little bit of season 2. It just keeps on throwing jokes at the wall and hoping they stick, and while that sounds like a negative thing, I know negativity is my strong suit. A grand majority of the quips land for me, because they are the one-by-one Lego pieces that serve to build these characters' personalities. Like Boimler getting called to the bridge and making it seem like he's worth shit just for Mariner to tell Tendi that he ain't even the fart. I be going hot. Okay, stop. On a slightly more naked note, Mariner teleports her and Tendi to another place as well, and I reacted accordingly to this.
Mariner program all new to Olympic training facility. You might want to back up a bit.
Hey, yup. Seeing these characters hang out in duos is really what juices up their interactions though. They are all so radically different from each other, so when they have to go on missions and shit together, they really get to learn about each other. Mariner is a bad bitch, and she is a bitch so bad that she regularly throws shit down with Klingons apparently. I could never, but that's why I'm not in Starfleet. I'm an intergalactic pussy, it ain't gonna happen. Okay, so now that I've explained the overall pacing thing, now to get more specific. Peanut Hamper, what the fuck is that? Probably the best character in a work of sci-fi. Don't worry, I don't really believe that 100%, but I'm doing an attention check to see if the people watching now read YouTube shorts during this section are still listening.
I ride bareback.
Now, Peanut Hamper isn't this thing's actual name, but she didn't want to have an alphanumeric name, so instead she mathematically came up with the perfect name, Peanut Hamper. It's kind of stupid, but yeah, this character has my whole heart, and here's why. In season 1 episode 10, No Small Parts, she is pretty much introduced as a robot version of Tendi, being very personable, excited to be here, and just trying her best. Later on, she is called to help with a medical procedure, and Tendi tries to brace her mentor, Dr. T'Ana, for Peanut Hamper to fuck up. But then she does the procedure pretty much perfectly, so perfectly that Dr. T'Ana basically ignores Tendi during that. It's T'Ana or T'Ana? Juana Man? Whatever. Fuck. Some would probably be like Peanut Hamper is a mean-spirited character for doing that, but girl, I would do the same damn thing. I can't even lie. She's just like me for real. Also, there's a character named Badgie. I don't give a fuck about Badgie. This is the last time I'll mention Badgie. Back to a good character though. Peanut Hamper, towards the end of the episode, a task comes up where she's the only one who can help after everyone in the ship is fucked up. And she doesn't do it. Not because she can't, but because she says,
I joined Starfleet to piss off my dad, not to be a virus bomb.
and everyone is pissed. And I'm just like, wow, Peanut Hamper is base. Okay, for real, this is kind of fucked up, but I honestly appreciate a character who is just selfish and don't give a fuck. And Peanut Hamper moves to the beat of her own circuitry. Yeah, she's basically inspired by a bratty young teenager who don't care about the people around her, and I like it. What can I say? What can I say? What can I say? Plus, Peanut Hamper is redeemed later on in the series as Season 3, Episode 7, mostly because she was forced to, but she still remains the same. And there's a funny ass scene where she falls in love with a Birdman, and this shit happens.
Oh, Rhoda, sing for me. You scared the living shit out of me.
The build up to this moment was masterfully done, and I cried laughing at this shit. Peanut Hamper essentially gains a sense of empathy for a race that she initially set out to get eradicated. Yeah, she was kind of redeemed, but she had kind of ruined these dudes' lives, so yeah, you win some, you lose some. She eventually pays the price for getting this race Buttafuoco'd, so regardless of how she got locked up, W Peanut Hamper, she did not a damn thing wrong. Okay, so that's basically it for this section because I can't stay in Season 1 for too long, so let's fucking Now, I've gone over the humor and why it's peak, and I've used Season 1 and a few other seasons to do it. Every other season follows that structure more or less, but the pace slows down in order to build the characters. I said this earlier. Unfortunately, that isn't why I'm making this video, but I thought I'd mention because now I'm gonna do some jumping around. Spoilers inbound, but not insanely so. I ain't doing much related to the story. Season 2, Episode 9, Wedge Dooge, or Dudge, whatever. However you pronounce this. This is an episode from Season 2 about the lower decks and 2 other ships, namely a Klingon ship and Vulcans, which gives us the perspective of 3 ships, which is what Wedge Dooge means. I ran into this episode and I was flabber and maybe even gassed it because what the fuck? Okay. So... What the fuck is... And yes, I made this Orange River's problem. The Klingons aren't particularly special for me. If I wanted a healthy dose of toxic masculinity, I'd just reconnect with my uncles, but the Vulcans are funny as shit. They are consistently talking in a very serious manner, so here, it's played for a joke. As in, the way that they react to things is really weird. They don't smile, their jokes are so dry you could wipe Sandman's ass with them, and one character in particular has a little bit of a rebellious streak, aka she kinda sorta speaks up for herself against authority, and that is considered out of hand. It's okay though, because she becomes a main character and she fits in the main quadratic like a bad dragon fits in my ass. Season 4, Episode 6 introduces us to a character named All you need to know about him is that he is a Ferengi, so he is out to swindle you out of your money. That and he is the
Grand Nagus.
Grand Niggas, what?
Nagus.
Negus.
Nagus. Nagus.
Oh, the Nagus. Right. Is really fucking funny, largely because of his delivery. The way that he says things is my weakness. I don't know what the fuck it is, but tears manifest whenever Pearl speaks. I just can't. I don't know. Dialing it back a bit, yes, I know this might be all over the place, but I'll wrap it up nicely, I promise. Mariner's shirt is a victim of a continuity error. This isn't a problem. Like, no, trust me, it's not. It's just funny. And the animation and illustration is top tier literally 120% of the time, but I don't usually scope some of this stuff out, but this time I happen to. This happened in Season 1, Episode 4, Moist Vessel. Mariner's shirt is casually unbuttoned at the top, and it gets unbuttoned throughout the show like a lot. Like, in this exact same way. It just does it a lot. It shows her casual and carefree nature. Okay, I fuck with it. Sometime between her looking at her tablet and her reading the bullshit, she fixed her shirt. But considering that her hand is in the same position between cuts, I doubt it.
Let's see what I got. Turbo lip lubing, holodeck waist removal, and strip.
Hey man, your shit wasn't zipped up before this scene. That's a continuity error. Bruh, Orange River need to make a video about this. That almost dropped my phone. Yeah, Orange River need to make... And this isn't necessarily a joke, but holy shit, they included impreg? Yeah, apparently Rutherford gets pregonate in season 4, episode 8, which is called Caves. Hell yeah, his asshole is gonna be a cave when he gets through delivering that behemoth. It's 2:25 in the morning. I'm sorry you had to hear that. I don't know if this is an actual thing in the lore, but as long as I can say that Star Trek Lower Decks is unwittingly a part of the Omegaverse, then as far as I'm concerned, this is the best Trek show of all time, to be honest. That was another one of those attention checks. It's okay, false alarm. Right! So I used an example from every season to enable my yap session about a show I really like being funny as shit in my opinion. Writing about one single characteristic of a show is kind of hard, but just like the process of trying to make someone laugh, you don't go in a straight line all the time. But what was it all for? For every one thing I talked about, there was 7 million more references and quips and jokes that I didn't. So why don't I just break down every single episode and explain every single joke and where they all lead? And yeah, I'm not doing that. The beauty of Lower Decks for someone like me who don't really care about Trek like that is simply that it is so smartly written that it hits both balls out of the park. The references are great for those that get them, and the humor is, in my opinion, universally able to be enjoyed for adult comedy fans. This show is not held back by its namesake. It only serves to upgrade the experience if you ever decide to get into the franchise as a whole. I could never, because I'm too busy trying to find my way around the has-been hell of a boss fandom and ask a Gundam fan, y'all don't want me there anyway. But I genuinely mean that every single episode is filled to the brim. The fucking brim! With so many attempts to make you crack a smile that me putting it all on display in an assembly line format would only dilute the product and just make them kind of lame if I presented it that way. Just watch the show if you haven't. You're missing out. I guarantee that shit. That's about it. Just a reminder that while I only covered one aspect of the show, Orange River is covering everything else. That video will be linked in the description, but for now, please like, comment, and subscribe if you like this video. If you're down with the energy I give off, then stick around. You'll love everything you see. Unless you won't, then oops, I just gave you a lobotomy. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and most importantly, stay cute. You lovely fuck. I don't know what cute bitches is in Klingon. Kiak.